I do have a lot of questions for you, right?
I bring up lots of questions. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very I'm very curious about your. So obviously I've been listening to your albums. This one album in particular that I really probably, I don't know if it's my favorite one, but at least it's the one that I've been listening to a lot ever since it came out. I'm not sure, probably 1 year ago, 2 years ago. I can't remember. The Loneliness of the Deep Sea, right? Is it?
Oh, The Loneliness of the Deep Sea Diver. Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
That was actually the first one that I did with Lost Tribe Sound. So actually, I think that's been 4 or 5 years. Yeah. So yeah, that was the one that finally got Lost Tribe Sound to, because I had sent them a couple before that, and Ryan was just like, he's like, dude, there's something here.
Right.
Just keep working. And I'm like, right. Yeah. And I sent him that, and he was like, dude, it's over. Let's do this.
Yeah. Yeah. I really love that album. I can't. I mean, it's been more than how long? 4 or 5 years already. It seems like.
Yeah, I think it came out in 2020. Yeah, or 2021.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's funny how I feel like the last 5 years are just completely insane for a multitude of reasons. So, but yeah, I mean that I made that one in the Oncotype sketchbook record around the same time. It was when I was my partner and I were going through their cancer diagnosis and treatment and all that stuff. So it's like those two records are intrinsically tied in with that huge life-changing event,
right?
And mortality, and I mean it totally changed my outlook on life. So sure. I've been an absolutely different person since then. So for the better. That's always the best thing, right?
Yeah, I mean it seems that album seems like came out yesterday. I mean and for some reason I listened to it so much more than your other albums. There's so many things about your other albums that I like very specific, right? Things that I love. But that album for some reason just kind of speaks to me, and I'm always constantly going back to it and listening to it and listening to it and listening to it. The process of, so if you don't mind me asking about the process of this album particularly.
Oh no, not at all.
So the conception, the production, the moment you said, okay, it's ready. Okay, it's because as musicians, is that moment when you say, okay, it's ready, is always something very difficult, right? And so I struggle with that limitation of, okay, that's enough, dude. Stop.
Oh yeah.
Recording, stop rearranging, stop doing it's done. So yeah. Tell me a little bit about that album.
Yeah, and I mean, I think for that one, I think I pretty much had it probably 90% done by the time I sent it over to Lost Tribe Sound. Just because I didn't want to send over anything that was sort of, not up to snuff. I mean, that's just in the artist's head, though. You know what I mean? It could have been half done, and they would have maybe still reacted the same to it or something. But yeah, I think only went through a few basic things of trying to add a few layers, like really simple things like adding weird little cymbal hits here and there for some of the more 4/4 bass hits and stuff that I ended up not even using because literally took the record over the edge into like, I think Ryan Keane said it took it over the edge a little bit into like techno.
Right.
Just having that weird little like extra syncopated rhythm. And I was like, okay. I was like, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Like I love techno, and I mean I like electronic music, and I mean I just can't make that stuff. I guess I prefer to make it with organic implementations and field recordings and making rhythms and stuff that way, rather than tooling around on drum machines all the time
right.
or whatever. I mean, not that I have any comprehension of how a group like Autech or someone makes their albums, because those things are completely alien to me, and that's why I love them.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I will never figure this out, and it will forever be a mystery to me, and I love that. So,
right.
But yeah, I mean, that one, I mean, I'm sure I put like undue pressure on myself while I was working on it, but it was also just kind of like I had to do it because otherwise I was going to lose my freaking mind.
Yeah.
Like at the time going through what we were going through and stuff. But I mean, I was just like, I am the deep sea diver. I am going into unknown territories, and I am, feel like I'm just like sitting at the bottom of the sea.
Right.
And, and I just kind of like, I was like, I can relate to this character here, and yeah, and I mean, I've just done the Loneliness of the Hollow Earth Explorer, which is kind of a loose continuation of that character, or another re-embodiment of that character.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a maybe yeah. I think they're maybe just an avatar for my audio explorations, as well as my explorations of the physical realm.
Sure.
So.
I think that's something that comes through in the album, because I really do feel. I mean, it makes sense now that you mention it. I don't feel like I'm the character in that album, but I feel like I'm with someone. I don't know if that makes sense, right? Like
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it does. It does really, like, going along in a journey, right? And I guess that's why I love the album, and what you're saying is absolutely, I mean, everything makes sense now, and it's wonderful how, not even knowing, like, I had no idea that was your intention, right? Like, that was like your process of, but I still got it, right? I still kind of knew a little bit of like, yeah, this is what Ryan was doing, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even for the Therianthrope series, like, I mean, I just Stream of Consciousness wrote like all that crazy storylines and stuff to it, and I figured maybe half the people are going to read it, but they can still, even if they don't read it, they can still connect to it on other levels, and it's the same thing. I mean, it's the same thing for all my records. I mean, I don't even know where this stuff comes from most of the time. I'm literally just a channel for it. I just have gotten better in my life, especially the last 5 years or so, just being able to open those channels and let everything flow through me. I mean, that's where it comes from. I mean, I go back and I'm like working on a record right now, and I just open up songs to work on them. I'm like, I don't even know where this came from. Like, did I actually record this?
Yeah.
jamming a lot of times, and I'll just like do that, and I've learned to like just let myself do the process of like jamming and just recording it and coming back to it later, because usually if I like spend an hour or two just playing and I go back in and I'm like, oh, I want to mess around with some of this stuff or whatever, sometimes I'll just like I'll map out like, oh, this section's good, this section's good, or whatever, so I have a frame of reference when I come back to it. But a lot of times like messing with it is a later process, because I feel like I'm already in that headspace where I was just free jamming and just letting the energies flow and like trying to like, you know, structure it more. Like I end up getting frustrated, so I've kind of learned to just like do these and like, you know, there's a time for this and there's a time for that, and I generally only give myself a few hours in the studio at a time anyways, just so I don't get burnt out, and you know, so my ears don't get burnt out, especially if I'm doing mixing and stuff, because we have all gone down that rabbit hole where you just keep working on something and then you get to the point where like, is this even good? You're like, do I need to undo the last hour and a half of what I was doing? And then that's usually when I'm just like, I'm done for the day. I'll come back to it. And if I come back and it sounds like crap, then I'll just, you know, backtrack from there. But yeah, I try to let the energies flow is basically how things are going to go.
Do you have any, so for that process, do you have any favorite instruments, you know, synths, you know? I noticed that on a lot of your albums, if not all of them, I can't remember, but I hear a guitar, for example, you know, you have a guitar here and there, especially the first album, or at least the first album that I found that you have on Spotify, I think. That first album, you have like, you know, these wonderful vocals, like women's vocals, and you have like
you're talking about the blue one, the glowing organs one. The
there
one
you
that
go.
I did with my friend the one that I did with my friend Emily, who's super talented and doesn't really do a lot of music anymore, I don't think, but and that's an interesting record. I was like, I just want to make a weird lo-fi 4AD album that was found like in a swamp or something like that. And that's a weird one. Yeah,
but I like it.
I think
it's pretty good. Yeah. It's I love how you. I don't know if you did this physically, but I love on that album specifically how you. It sounds almost like a tape manipulation, like all of a sudden like right, and then it goes into like the next track or something, right? So that's pretty cool. Every single piece of that record was taken off of analog tape. Nice,
and just dumped into the digital realm or whatever. And I was literally playing the cassette tapes or the reels back and just like manipulating them as they played and mixing as I went. So, and I mean, I do that a lot. Like I'll run a lot of stuff through like tape decks and stuff just to get that effect.
Nice.
And whatnot. I feel like I was starting to lean a little too heavily into that, and that's probably just in my own head.
Sure. And
so I've kind of backed away a little bit from that.
Okay.
I don't know. At least with the new stuff I'm working on. But there's the new albums I'm working on are have their own weird hazy quality. It's all about dreams, so it's it's all about I mean, I went through the past year. I've just went through like these 3-week long periods every once in a while of just not being able to sleep.
Right.
And I know, a lot of people in consciousness work and stuff are just like, it's because, you're getting downloads or you're getting all these energies coming in and stuff. I'm just like, I can't sleep. So I was like, what am I going to do? I'm going to just make all these songs since I can't sleep. And then they came out like totally sounding weird and unique. And so, there's going to be, I think it's going to be 2 records, like 2 sister records. And one of them, the first one I think is going to be part of this next Lost Tribe Sound series. But it's going to be different. It's going to be different than the other stuff.
Nice.
Ryan King called it, I think he referred to it as somewhat of an otherworldly rock album.
Nice.
Like it's very like a post-rock album. It's much more like song structured, quote unquote, as opposed to some of my other stuff. But but the I mean, the Loneliness of the Hollow Earth Explorer Volume 1 and 2 that are well, Volume 2 is coming out in November, but Volume 1 has been out since May.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those are just like big, long sequence. There's individual songs, but I mean, it's all just flows together because it's all just a story.
Right.
And this journey and everything and whatnot. So
Yeah.
I was working on that record for like 4 years on and off.
Right.
And it was like one of those things I'm like, am I ever going to finish this?
Yeah.
And now that it's done, I'm just like, I just feel like, wow, I actually finished that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How do you know when you're like, okay, this is, this is
Well,
ready?
I think when I get into the final stages is when I'm just kind of like, I've got the record sequenced up in like a project. All the songs are laid out, flowing into one another. And I just keep listening to that. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, no, there's like this little, like I'm fine tuning. It's like you're going in there with like super fine tune. Once I know I'm in that mode, I'm like, I'm basically just like, fine tuning the stuff that's going to bother me and most people won't notice.
Right.
So I feel like I'm in a good place. So it's like once I get to that place, I'm just like, and that's, yeah. And I try to get all that out of the way before, I try to say like this is ready for mastering or something. So I'm not like, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
I've ended up mastering my own the last two of my own records just to keep it less complicated, and it just kind of came out sounding, I don't know, it's just something about those Hollow Earth Explorer records. It just, the master that I did and everything, it just worked better for it. And since we were only going to do digital at this time and whatnot, even though we have talked about doing like a double CD at some point, but I don't know. I kind of like the idea of just having it digital because it's like, just for environmental sake, whatnot. Just the concept of the record and everything seemed to like really like, adhere to that idea a little bit. So
when you start recording or doing these jam sessions that you say you do you have like your favorite instruments that you like to come back to, or do you always kind of like, okay, I feel like I'm going to get this one that I don't even know, I've never touched, I've never played, like let's experiment, or do you have like, okay, this is my guitar, this is my synth, this is my equipment, and I sit down and I always kind of play around and experiment with these instruments all the time? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of both probably. I mean, I do, like, especially if I've been out hiking a lot and gathering field recordings and doing stuff, then I generally just have like a whole bunch of recordings that I'm like, oh, I just want to like I'll just sit down and I'll like hook up my field recorder and I'll just, transfer them over into a project, or I'll, most of the times I just hook that up to my pedal board and I just like play the field recordings and I just like, start looping stuff and like building on like that. And that usually is the basis of my rhythm track.
Okay.
And then sometimes, and then, maybe I'll go back in with like, I mean, I have a drum machine, but I'm pretty rudimentary with it because I just don't have the patience. So I'm just like, all right, like get the 4/4 like kick drum going and some other stuff. I mean, I do get a little, crazy with it sometimes, but like, I mean, I generally build songs from the rhythm up.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So like, I'll just like get a bed, like a nice bed of field recordings or some sort of rhythmic thing going, and sometimes I'll just like, oh, I want to pick up my bass, or sometimes I'll pick up my guitar and run it through stuff and that. So, I mean, it all just kind of unfolds, and the more I try to control it, the more frustrated I'll generally get, which is kind of a metaphor for life. So, but yeah, it's, I mean, I definitely, guitar and bass kind of going to those first is, I mean, that's just because that's what I started out playing.
Sure.
So I know, I mean, even if I, with guitar anymore, I'm more like textural. I'm just, I'm really into like the pedals, like putting it through pedals and getting sounds that don't sound exactly like guitar and stuff like that. So,
right.
I mean, and it's also my obsession with, 80s post-punk and
Nice.
all that kind of production, I'm just like, have to have like 50 chorus pedals and some flange and, delay and all that. So.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah. And a lot of it starts with basically that kind of just the rhythm and bass and guitar most times. I mean, sometimes I'll bust out my Juno 60 and I've got some other like rack synth whatnots that can add some. They're not good for making melody, but they're good for adding the unholy gurgling sounds in the background and whatnot. Right. So
yeah. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
What made you want to make this type of music specifically?
Well, honestly, I mean, I for the most part have spent most of my life playing in rock bands and stuff. But when I first started, learning guitar and playing, I quickly bought a 4-track. And when I was learning how to use that, I mean, all I would do is make like weird little Darude column sounding like instrumental, like shoegazy post-punk songs and stuff. And I would just make like all these with like loops and everything. And I would like play them to my friends back when I went to art school. Like my friends and I would be like staying up all night doing our projects and stuff, and I'd like bring tapes in of the stuff and be like, hey, and they'd be like, man, this stuff's really cool. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, I just do it for myself. Yeah. Which is kind of, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that like I don't release that I just do for myself, like acoustic finger picking songs and stuff like that I'm just really into, like John Fahey and all that stuff. But I just, I don't know, maybe someday I'll release some of that stuff, but I mainly just do it for myself. But anyways, so I kind of started in that realm, and then I, was playing in a bunch of like hardcore bands and metal bands and other stuff. And like, I think it was just like, I just got to a point where like the rigidity of songwriting and like, with other people and just like, I just was not feeling it more and more. And I was more into like, just free jam sessions and recording them and being like, wow, like this is so much better than the song we tried to write and all that. So I went down that road with like some other projects, just like, okay, we're not writing anything. We're just going to hit record and just play. And then we'll pull stuff out of there and make songs out of them. And then once I just stopped playing in bands, I was just like, I feel like I just need to make music that's just the truest thing that I could possibly do. For like, I don't have any tolerance for anything other than that. Right. Like, I'm not willing to really compromise. I feel like there's this stuff that needs to come through me, and I just need to let it come out. Right. And the more that I open myself up to that process, I feel the better and better the stuff gets, and just or at least it's consistently interesting to me, at least. Right. I'm not trying to make like, I'm not trying to one up myself with every record, or maybe not anxiety ridden,
right?
Like that process. But maybe that's a little bit in the back of my mind. But mostly, I just know that whatever's next is going to be somewhat different. It's going to like jump off completely from where I was before. So it's just letting it go. But yeah, I think it's just coming back, and like I don't know. Like, I just feel blessed that I've gotten to this point where I've just like, that anyone even wants to listen to this stuff too. I'm just like, I'm just making it because it's the music I want to hear. I'm just like,
sure. Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of us are like that. We're just like, I'm not hearing what I want to hear. I hear some good stuff out there. It's, whatever, but there's something that, I want to hear. So I'm just going to make it. So.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, that's something that a lot of us have. It's just making music for ourselves, and there's always, you're absolutely right, and I've talked about this with Ryan Keane at some point over the years, how you release an album and it does okay or whatever, but there's always this pressure of like, oh, what am I gonna do next? Is it gonna be good? Is it people are gonna like it? Or are they gonna blah blah blah? Are they gonna listen to it? But at the end of the day, just kind of like you have to get rid of those emotions, right? You have to get rid of those thoughts. I'm sorry, right? And just make whatever you like, whatever you want, and then if you're true to yourself and your process and what you really want, I mean, people are going to listen to it, and if you like it, then it's all that matters. I've had albums that people really don't really listen to, but I love them. I go back to them and I listen to them. I'm like, yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad, and I like it. Yeah, right. So.
Yeah, it's kind of impossible to know what's going to resonate with other people. I just feel like being genuine, and the deeper I go into the Arrowounds stuff, the less ego is involved too. And I'm not trying to I just don't care. Like, I'm not trying to put something out. And if it does well, great. I just feel like if anyone listens to it, it's a win. Like, I hope that maybe they share it with, people, and it just keeps getting passed on, because I'm really I'm just trying to also especially with all the, the ideas or the esoteric concepts in my music, I'm just, if it just kind of resonates with somebody or makes them think a little differently outside of this weird convoluted structure we're in that's not working and that is completely collapsing around us. The dogs agree there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You mentioned earlier about going to art school. One of the things that I wanted to ask you was also how did you know you wanted to do music? How did you know you wanted to be a musician? You wanted to be in bands, and I
don't remember not ever wanting to be a musician, to be perfectly honest.
Okay.
I know that sounds maybe weird, but even as a really little kid, I was always, I think in kindergarten, one day in kindergarten, we had an art teacher come in and showed us how to make a guitar out of a shoebox and a ruler and some strings and stuff. And, it was, it's just a racket, whatever. But I was just this is amazing. And I spent months in my bedroom, jumping up and down in my bed, playing that thing to a Beach Boys vinyl record. The only record that I had, and I don't know, I feel like music, I just came into this world wanting to work with sound. And that's why every time I've gotten away from especially when you're, in the periods of life when you're a little bit lost, you're what's my purpose? Blah, blah, blah. And it's just, I always get that resonating, message, dude, you're here to work with sound, work with sound.
Right.
It doesn't have to be music even, and that's why I've kind of been exploring the idea of, biofield tuning and other stuff recently, just because, I don't know, I know some of my music can be considered dark and insular and a little subterranean, but I'm also, I do really want to make this world a better place, maybe one person at a time,
Right.
I just think that's kind of important at the moment,
right.
as the Matrix is crumbling. So,
right. Would you consider yourself more of an artist more than a musician in general? Just because maybe you could, you're working on sound, but maybe not necessarily with a guitar. Maybe you're just, grabbing.
Yeah.
You grab this and you kind of bang on the coffin.
Right. Yeah. You put a contact mic on your coffee cup, and
yeah,
and put it through a reverb pedal or something or anything. Yeah, but yeah, probably. I guess to call yourself a musician, maybe it comes with some baggage of I have mastered a particular instrument or something like that, which I've never cared about. As soon as yeah, I mean, and I've definitely gone through periods, especially when I played in a metal band, where I was just really right. into but I mean, it was just how far can I stretch my abilities, and it's basically writing songs that you can't play until 2 months after playing and stuff like that and whatnot. But I've never been into like guitar solos and like much, I don't know, theory and all that. But not saying I won't ever get into it. Like not guitar solos, theory.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
No one needs. The world does not need any more guitar solos. Sorry.
I think so. Yeah. Definitely, yes.
The guitar solos are they're food for the ego.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Look at me.
But you mentioned, Ryan, that you were that you went to art school. Like, was it that like a high school art kind of school? Or?
Well, I definitely the art program for my last year of high school was definitely instrumental in sending me in that direction for a bit. But I went to Columbus College of Art and Design directly after high school, CCAD for short. Yeah, and I studied graphic design and photography there, and all the fundamentals and stuff, and completely burned myself out. And I don't know, for me, like the whole art side of things is like once you put like monetary value on it, or that succeeding in capitalism and all that it just doesn't work for me. And like I know that's been detrimental to me, probably, making more money as an artist, but it's also like, it's just, there's a part of me that just completely rebels against it. It always has. Like, it's hard enough to, I don't know, fit into the system as it is anyways. I'm just pretending to get along. Yeah. But I don't know. I guess, yeah. So I guess I've just always sort of seen things from a different perspective. I mean, I grew up in a pretty normal family where it was just kind of like, get a job, go to college, get a job, get married, have a kid. That seemed normal. That seemed like the normal thing to do, even though I was like, that's never going to be for me, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I am married, but that's as far as I've gone with any of this.
Yeah. With the life that you're supposed to be having or doing. I mean, yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's just the whole idea of living up to like other people's beliefs and expectations and stuff that just makes all of us miserable. And and the worst parts of my life is always when I was adhering to that more. So I just, I think I hit my wall with that like 10 years ago and just decided to like just totally like deprogram myself. So. Right. Yeah. I mean, I've definitely got friends. I mean, and I'm also, I go through those periods where I'm just like, I'm just not feeling it.
Yeah.
And I've actually kind of like realized that like certain times a year, like I just started journaling and like you start keeping track of like these ebbs and flows. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, if I just realized that like I'm going through this like maybe I'm not so creative, but I'm reading a lot and I'm absorbing a lot of information, and that's totally fine.
Sure.
Not playing my guitar for like 2 months isn't bad. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just like kind of like you kind of start guilt tripping yourself, and that's really where the misery's coming in and stuff. It's you're like, I mean, and you're basically just like, you're not in the present moment. So like, but yeah, I definitely have friends who are just like, oh, I think I give up on music and stuff, or I want to write some songs, but I'm not really sure I still have it. And I'm like, have you picked up your guitar yet? Just put your hands on it. Just put your hands on your guitar and strum a chord, and I guarantee you that shit will just like come right back to you.
Yeah.
And it's always like, yeah. And I mean, I was kind of missing just like the loud, distorted guitar stuff too, and like that. I set up one of my amps downstairs in our library and just in our space or whatever, and like I just go down there and I just like pick up a guitar and I just start playing. Like, I mean, lately everything kind of just sounds like Failure or Hum songs, but I mean, it's just like whatever, man. Like, it's just cool. Like, it's just fun to like bash out like a bunch of chords and just make some noise. And every once in a while I'll even bust out some like old thrashy metal riffs, and I'm just like, I can still sort of play this. It's just fun.
Yeah.
But
one other thing, like I hear you, talking about like all of these, the process and what you're doing, and one of the things that's so I have invited, I don't know, maybe like 3 or 4 other friends, musicians, to do these chants, but I think you, particularly Ryan, I think that you're probably one of the most prolific musicians or artists that I know. I mean, in the last 4 or 5 years, you've come up with so many albums, and now, like, I think last year, 2 years ago, with Lost Tribe Sound, and then you have like these new ones coming. Yeah,
I mean that one was just like the 4 album series. I mean that one just kind of kept snowballing. Like, and it's funny how they actually ended up getting released like the opposite order they were finished to, so it was interesting or whatever. But yeah, it just kept coming, and I just couldn't stop the flow of it, and I certainly didn't want to. So but yeah, I mean, it's funny because like for me, like I don't feel very prolific because like I see other people just like they'll put out like a record every like 2 months, and it's especially in the ambient world. Even nothing against that or whatever, but I'm also like, if I'm gonna put something out, like anything that I put out is because I felt it was important, or it's important to me, or it has some sort of, like, it's not just, as I said, it's detached from the ego and all of that. And I just don't, I told Ryan at Lost Tribe Sound, I was like, I don't know how long it's going to take me to finish these next few records. It could be 5 months. It could be 5 years. I honestly don't care because I only want to put stuff out that like if it's important. Like I just have no interest in just putting stuff out to like remind people that I exist.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or stuff like that. And
you hear that a lot, right? Like you hear like you have to put an album like every 2 months because otherwise you're going to be irrelevant. It's like one of those pressures, right? I don't care. But
yeah. I mean, it seems like, I mean, that's the way, online stuff or whatever seems, that's how I perceive it. It's just like constantly moving, and like people forget about records like 10 minutes later. Or whatever, which I don't know if that, I mean, I think that's true for probably a lot of people, but I still get obsessed over this records like I used to. Like I'll listen to like one band for 2 months straight, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because I'll just like completely absorb myself. I'm just like, I'm only going to listen to Killing Joke for 2 months. Like,
right.
And just like absorb that. And then I'll just be like, Jordy was the greatest guitar player of all time, and I suck. Like, whatever.
Yeah. Do you think so? I think that there's a huge, I don't know. I think that there's a lot of musicians out there that don't, or artists that don't really care, right, about having a release every 2 months. I also see people doing that. Maybe not necessarily because they want to stay relevant, but maybe like, they genuinely are always making music, and they're putting it out because that's what happens.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, I totally get that. I mean, I could release stuff every 2 months too if I really wanted to, but I don't really want to.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'd rather, I don't know, I'm just more interested in taking my time with it and making sure it's exactly what I want.
Yeah.
To come out or whatever.
Yeah, there's people who, like you, that still listen to the same album over and over again, and then, maybe because we're kind of like that generation where, I remember having, I don't know, I was like 6 or 7 years old, and I had my Walkman. I had 3 cassettes, right, that I listened to. I don't know, years and years, And then I remember when I was in high school saving up money to buy that CD, right? To buy that Pantera CD or that Metallica CD. And like when you finally got it, it was like on repeat all the time, all day, right?
Absolutely.
And now music seems to be just kind of like like a commodity, and people kind of, like you said, like you listen to an album and they forget about it and then never come back, because there's like always this constant bombardment of like releases, and people are just, there's so many musicians and artists and albums coming out every single day. It's like not only art, but information. There's always like the swipe thing, it's like all art and music is the same way now, unfortunately, I guess. And especially with younger generations, I guess, because or I don't know, it's very strange, because it seems like I read articles about people like, the people are buying vinyls again, and people are buying CDs, and people are getting getting rid of their Spotify account and buying their CD players or whatever. And it seems like, it seems like people are tired of this, continuous...
I mean, it is hard to connect with streaming music sometimes. I mean, I guess I'm just glad that when I, like, dating myself, I mean, when I was growing up, it was like CDs, were sort of like were new by the time I was listening to music, or like, you could get like Dire Straits and, like some...
Sure.
Some things or whatever like that, whatever my parents were buying at the time. But I don't know, man. If I had grown up with streaming music and stuff, I would probably just take everything for granted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what it
is. And just having that, where I was just like, yeah, you save up $15-20 and you buy a record and you listen, you're just obsessed with it. You're like, even some records I didn't even like that much, I would just keep listening to because I paid for it.
Right.
And but I mean, sometimes that was good because it forced you to like actually like, oh, I'm actually getting this now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think if I didn't have that, then I don't know, honestly. Like, I think I can just, with streaming, I usually just listen to stuff that I own on vinyl or whatever, but I'm working and it's just easier to listen to it on streaming. Right. Or I'll check out someone's new record or whatever because it's easier, but most of the time I'll try to listen to it on Bandcamp or whatnot.
Yeah.
But, and Spotify, I mean, all these big corporations, like, it's just icky a lot of times. So, right. But... And that's a longer conversation right there. Yeah, definitely
it seems like, I don't know, but again, it seems like people are getting tired of the whole streaming situation, and I hope it gets better. But now we have different problems with, shipping and tariffs and everything. I just saw right before we started, I got an email from the Eagle Stunt Collection, or Collective, I'm sorry.
I saw that same email, man.
Yeah, you saw that, right? And I was like...
Yeah, and I was just like... I was wondering, man, because I've ordered a few things, like, over the past few months, and none of that stuff has showed up. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, this is happening. I mean, I do kind of live in my own bubble, and a lot of that political stuff to me is just noise. And I also just see it as a catalyst to force the larger population into change. And it's obviously dividing completely. Yeah. It's like there are those who are afraid of, for lack of a better term, afraid of change, or just digging their claws in. And there are those of us who are just like, I am ready for something different. The system that has not worked, it never has. It only works for the select few. So
right.
But it's safety, and we would, as humans, we have that thing where we would rather choose the safe thing, even if it causes more misery, pain, and death, than jumping into the unknown and possibly just flourishing as a species or whatever. So
right.
But
do you remember that? I always forget the name of this character. The movie The Matrix. You remember that guy who betrays everyone and he just kind of like makes a deal with the agents?
I do. I feel like I know that actor's name more than I know the character. What's his name? Like Joey Pantalone or something like that.
Something like
Pantalone
that.
or whatever.
Yeah.
But he's always like the jerk and everything.
Yeah, exactly, right? And there's this
like
scene
Sopranos and everything.
That's right. He was in The Sopranos. I forgot about that. Yeah.
He's the one who's just like, you know what? I'd rather live in the illusion.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as you give me money and fill my empty voids within with materialistic stuff, like I will succumb to it or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like fuck these guys. I just give me money and fame, and I want to forget, and
You're like, that seems like the easy choice at the moment, but I mean it doesn't lead to anything.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't lead to actual happiness or enlightenment or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but that's why I haven't bought any new gear or anything in years. I'm just like, I don't even need it. I just continually mess around with some of my stuff. Sometimes my stuff breaks and then it just makes whole new sounds. So like it's brand new. So.
Exactly. Yeah. I do that. I try to do that with everything. I mean, I'm not lying. Like my computer, even my clothes, right? Like I don't know when was the last time I went to buy new clothes. It's
right.
Like just like I was thinking about this the other day. Like if I had like one jacket, one like some like very, very basic, and it lasts for me for the rest of my life, I would be like happy. Like and that's kind of like the thing that needs to change with the music industry, right? It's like you have this one album that you absolutely love, just listen to it, like to the point where you can, like, there's some albums that you can even, actually listen to the hiss of the amp, and when that hiss is going to hit, right? Like oh, there it is, and all these little details of that people are not very aware or at all about, right? And not only music, like it's movies, it's painting, it's everything. Everything is just like a swipe away, and and
right.
No
right, because it takes time and it takes energy to like absorb and see the details and stuff, or the subtext. I'm trying to remember who it was. I always like that saying where it's like start treating life as a literature and explore the subtext.
Right.
And whatnot, because it's just like, the surface level of everything that's going on is complete nonsense.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's completely nonsense. So it's like looking below the surface, and I've always had that drive, and I feel, and even just the last 5 years alone, I feel like that's just been like one of my sole purposes is just keep digging. Right. And figuring out, like, I've, exploring like every single ancient religion and just correlating and connecting the dots and figuring out like, we actually, there's a lot of solid information contained within all this stuff that's like actually telling us what kind of world we live in. We just have chosen to completely be oblivious to it.
Right. Yes.
So, and it's just nonsense to me how people are still debating, do aliens exist? I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, why are we even arguing this at this point? Like, we're literally probably a year or two away from open contact, and you guys are still arguing whether or not they actually exist. Like, if there's anything beyond what we can perceive, like,
exactly,
it's just complete insanity to me. So,
yeah, exactly. But I mean, all of these things that you're saying, everything that it's amazing to me that every single thing in life right now is used to divide us in some way.
Yep.
I mean, like everything.
Absolutely.
Political issues, social issues, work, school, art, everything. There's always like this team, and then there's this team, and then and we forgot how to just have conversation, and
absolutely
figure things out, everything like if there's something that you don't. If there's something that you don't agree with me, then you're automatically my enemy, and it's completely polarizing, and it's just so
right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm tired of everything, everywhere you go, everything you say, right? Yeah,
it's because everyone's just trying to validate. Because everyone's seeing their reality collapse around them, even if they're not acknowledging it, and they're trying to validate. Yeah. They want their what they think is real to be validated back to them, because we're all completely disconnected from ourselves and from everyone else, like the sense of community and everything. Yeah. So yeah, everything is used against us, and I mean it's been that way for a long time. I mean for a very, very, very long time. Yeah. I always tell people to read that book, Gods of Eden, because it just lays out like the entire plan. You're just like, oh wow. You're like, okay. Up until they figured out like, central banking and like all that stuff. It's all been an orchestrated thing. It's like really interesting, but it's all dividing us because we're seeking validation.
What book was that? Gods of Eden?
Gods of Eden. What's this? Is it William Bradley that wrote that? It came out in like the late 80s.
Okay.
But it still holds up.
Sure.
And the preface of that book is hilarious because he's like, I literally tried to write this book 7 times and I got mad and stopped because every time I found out something new, I got pissed off at the world and I just couldn't continue. And then then a few weeks went by and I'm like, okay, I actually have to finish this book or whatever. So.
Right. I'm going to look that up. I'm going to look for that book.
Yeah, I should probably start doing book recommendations instead of current listening on my Bandcamp messages or whatever.
Sounds interesting.
Or just both or whatever. So.
I still want to talk a little bit about these last 3 or 4 albums. How many have there been? I have, I think 2 albums from the last 2 Lost Tribe Sounds release. But how many? This last series that you're doing, that even Ryan, like one time we were having a conversation and we were talking about these albums, and he said that there was like a comic book coming or something like that. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that.
There's always, Ryan and I have always talked about doing some sort of maybe art book or graphic novel or something for the Therianthrope series, just because that whole world building was just so alive.
Right.
I mean, and just the artwork that he came up with for those, I mean, that's one of the most beautiful, artistically like fulfilling projects that I've ever worked on with somebody. It was just awesome. And just, Ian's masters that he did for those 2 just sounded amazing. And I couldn't be happier. I was like, that was one of those things I'm like, man, if I disappeared that was the last thing I left on this world, like I would be fine with that, right. I know I can do better and I have more ideas, and obviously I was working on the Hollow Earth Explorer record, around that time too, and those are the 2 that came out this year. But I feel like I do kind of feel like that, like the shark that needs to keep swimming with music and stuff, and I used to tie it to my mental health until I figured out, you know, like having all your eggs in one basket with your mental health is never a good thing. So like,
Right.
so spiritual journeys and yoga and magic practices and just all whatever you can explore or whatever that's out there is all, painting, cooking, any sort of creative endeavor.
Right.
It's like I'm open to exploring, instead of just having all my eggs in one basket with the music stuff. And I find I enjoy doing music a lot more now too, because, you know, if I have a day where I'm like, I was planning on doing music and you know what, I'm just not feeling it, and I'm not going to give myself a hard time, or whatever. So I'm not going to tell myself, oh, you know, if I just recorded last night, I would have come up with like the greatest song ever heard, and like, you know, it's still there somewhere. It's just, you know, waiting to be channeled or whatever. So. I don't even listen to my old records that much, to be perfectly honest. You know, every once in a while I'll put them on, and you know, after I finish a record, you know, if it gets mastered, I'll be listening to it. But once it comes out, I'll usually listen to it on the release date. You know, it's like a celebration or something, and then I'm pretty much just done with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Not in a negative way. Not that like, oh, thank God that's over or anything like that. It's just kind of like I'm already like, you know, thinking about the next thing, and like. I mean, and like the record, the Dreams records that I'm working on right now, like I started those and I was like really like hopped up on like my own energy for those for a bit, and then I kind of like lost it, and I was kind of like, oh, maybe all this stuff sucked, you know, that whole thing. And then like I compiled like 3 folders for Ryan Keen to check out, and he kind of sparked my interest again. He was just like, oh, because like I got to the point where I couldn't see the forest for the trees. I'm just like, I don't know what song works with what anymore.
Right. Yeah.
But he kind of gave me some direction, and I kind of realized, oh, the album sequence that I had going a little bit ago is actually really good, and like, you know, like. Right. I shouldn't be so hard on myself.
Exactly, yeah.
And also telling yourself you're making your own dark side of the moon every day is also probably not the best idea either.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah.
It's like, does the world need another dark side of the moon? What does that even mean if you actually think about it?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything. So.
Yeah, exactly. When is the new album coming out?
Well, the Loneliness of the Hollow Earth Explorer Volume 2 comes out November 14th.
Okay.
So that'll be the second volume of that one. This is like a 2-album series we decided to release in 2 parts or whatever, which I think is good, because each side of that, you know, individual half of that record kind of has its own vibe, but it's all kind of one piece in a way. But I'm assuming the next one, I don't know when it'll come out, probably the end of next year, or maybe the beginning of the year after that. It really depends on how that series goes and how fast I get mine done or whatever. I'm kind of, as I said, I'm kind of getting to that point where I'm starting to like get into the microscopic fine tuning and the sequencing and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm really excited for it though, because it's different. I would say out of everything that I've done, it's probably closest to the In the Octopus Pond record, where it's got more of the kind of structured post-punk shoegazy kind of sound to it or whatnot. But it's kind of like that record, but like on a lot more hallucinogenic drugs.
Right. Yeah.
It's like in the Octopus Pond on ayahuasca, you know, like.
Right. Yeah, I like that album quite a lot. That's also another album that I come back to.
I think that's the easiest one to kind of listen to. Like, there's something that's, I don't know, for me at least, like I can just like listen to that one, and it just, I don't know, there's something easy about it.
Let you go. This has been a real nice conversation. I've been wanting to do this for the longest time. We started having these little chats with Ryan and Claire and everyone, and
Right.
and I
That's
was
always fun.
always wanting to ask all of you so many questions, like you know. So but yeah, I'm happy that we had this chance to talk a little bit about your process and your albums that I absolutely love. I can't wait for that new album to come out, and maybe we can talk again and talk about that new release.
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna say, if you think of more questions you want to add to this, let me know, or we can just do another one at some point.
Yeah, we can do another one. That would be pretty cool.
I am always down to talk artistic and esoteric things, so that's
Right.
pretty much my wheelhouse. So.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for making the space once again.